Welcome to Planet Marzipan Podcast,
your fish and Marillion podcast,
where we talk about all things in the planet of Marillion and fish. I'm Mezza, and here's my mate,
Craig Houston.
Hello, welcome to Planet Marzipan. I'm Mezza. I'm here with my good friend,
Craig.
Craig.
No, we're on the right podcast this week, aren't we?
We are Planet Marzipan. We are welcoming back some regular faces on the podcast. We welcome back Sir James of Levey.
Good evening.
Good evening, James. And Michael of Barton.
Michael, I got my son's name.
You do, mate, on here. I'll do it once, but then, you know. And for not his podcast debut, because he interviewed us and then we interviewed him, but it's his first time on to reviewing an album. So welcome back, Darren Newitt.
Hello.
Hi, Darren.
Welcome back, mate.
Welcome back, yes. So, as you can tell from the title of the episode, folks, we are here to talk about the much maligned Less is More. Oh. James is already laughing. Less is More came out on the 2nd of October 2009, and I don't know why we still do this, but how old were you, Craig, on the 2nd of October 2009?
Oh, in 2009, I was the ripe old age of 37.
Whoa, wow, you old git.
I said that last time.
I know, because we used to do these, and you would go, I was 9. That's why I didn't buy it. I was 9. But you can't do that with these, can you?
I can't.
I did buy it.
16 years.
I know.
Where's it gone?
Should we talk just for a couple of minutes about how this album came about then? Because obviously most people listening to this will know this is an album of reworked Marillion tracks from the H era. So
it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it? Because it was like we discussed when we did Happiness in the previous weeks. You know, this was a period of time where they were so prolific. You know, there was in 2007 we had an album. In 2008 we had a double album, and then straight away in 2009 we had another album. And it's like bang, bang, bang. What
do you think if they'd have released Happiness in 2 separate parts, we wouldn't have got this album?
Possibly.
Interesting theory.
I seem to remember that H talks about it in. I've been watching the Blu-ray with the Racket TV stuff on it, and H talks about it being far more relaxed for him because he hasn't got the pressure of finding more words.
Yeah,
I think it's sorry, go on, Darren.
I said, yeah, I watched that too. It's interesting going back and watching some of the old Racket TV stuff. God, they look young.
Well, I'm sure we all do, yeah.
Pete looks like he should have been in a Manchester Britpop band with his hair.
Yes, yeah, right.
So young. It could have fit in Oasis easy with his fashion. But yeah.
James?
I was just going to say, is that even further back from that? Because if you think about, as Greg said, they were prolific. But even, you know, I think you cover back from 2004, 3 and 2, they're writing marbles. So really if you look at when they wrote, or the proliferacy, I think is a word, from the mid 90s, from sort of TSE, Radiation.com, Anorak Marbles, Somewhere Else Happiness, it's like very rarely they were off not doing either writing an album, recording an album, or touring the album.
Yeah.
So no wonder they were knackered.
Yeah.
And I think they had 2010 off planned as an off year to write the next one. So they thought, we can't be bothered to go back and do that. So obviously someone suggested to do the reworkings.
Yeah.
And I think the reworkings idea is a really good palette cleanser and breather for the band, because I think it worked with this, and I think it worked really well with Friends from the Orchestra as well, because that was a similar kind of breather between albums. And funnily enough, I keep saying I think they should have done the same after an hour before it's dark and before the new one. Give themselves something different in between to relieve the pressure that they seem to have with, we must have a new album.
Yeah.
It
we've
was
all... Go on, Mike.
No, it was quite brave though as well, because it wasn't just a reworking.
No.
And I don't want to use the word reimagining because that means something completely different. But they went away and learnt new instruments and put new instruments and new arrangements, and it actually changes the songs, and some of them become much better for that vulnerability.
Yeah. It's we've all talked before we were recording, Craig and I have talked, and Mike, you just made a comment. It's a cracking album. You dig it out and play it properly. Oh, James is pulling a face. Dig it out. You got win, James, or is that you disagreeing with what I'm saying?
I wouldn't say cracking, but we'll get into that.
I think it is. I think it really is.
And I think live it's even better than the studio.
Yes. Yeah. The live versions are really good.
Yeah.
But
I think
it falls into this. If you really like H Natural,
yes,
I think you'll like this.
Yeah. Well, you say that, and it's not your fault. It's H Natural, really, when you look at it. Without a doubt, that sits comfortably in his H Natural.
But it does, but it's not a H solo, right? No, Mark came up with that.
Yeah.
The first jam was a full band jam.
Was it?
That'd be interesting to hear.
Well, you'll say that a lot, Darren.
Yeah. Where will that
usually whenever this man speaks, you'll go, "Oh, well, I'd love to hear that."
Well, I think the reason they probably didn't want to do the bog standard acoustic album is because Unplugged at the Walls set a very high benchmark.
Yeah.
And I think if they'd have done something similar, the fans would have gone, "You've done that before."
Well, you got Unplugged at the Walls and you got Piss Up in a Brewery.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was quite a glut of that kind of thing back after the Unplugged at the Walls. There was the RTV sessions, and there was some Christmas acoustic things, and the Piss Up in a Brewery. And when they said they were going to do this, I was like, oh no, not more. But you're right, they took a lot of the songs and have completely reworked them. And as you said, they've learnt new instruments. And when you watch it live, you've got Pete playing glockenspiel and Steve Hogarth playing the dulcimer, and how they learn that and then have the bravery to take it on tour and play these things on live tracks that are completely reworked is like, most people.
And the strange thing for that was watching the live shows. It never felt the same each night when they were doing the same tracks, because I think they were learning their craft with them instruments as well and where it fitted in. And almost like when you've got Louis Jardim on tour and he won't play the same bit each night. It won't be the same tool that he reaches down into that bag of whatever he's got and reaches out.
He's making it up, Mike.
Yeah, well, I know that, but it almost felt like that with this, that when it was live and when you listen to the live recordings, they all sound so slightly different. And you think, I didn't hear that last time. That's something new. That bell comes in, or that glockenspiel comes in, or whatever it is. And that gives it a completely unique feel each time.
Yeah. I think they gave him on the live, and you can talk about the live stuff, but it gave him space.
Yes.
Because that's the thing. You say, like, actually, well, I'm going to try this little bit on this song. I'm going to try this little bit of this song. And it was not like we must stick to the recorded version. It's like, as you said, it's a bit more relaxed, a bit more chilled. I've never seen them concentrate so much on that first night. But anyway.
No. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
The thing is, as well, with the songs, they're not just direct copies with variations on it. They're reworked, but there's also been, especially on something like Interior Lulu, they'll actually take whole sections out.
Yeah,
and so it's a considerably shorter version. But it works better.
With Interior Lulu on the live one, the more that was played, that intro that he does with it looks like plastic knives on his dulcimer, but it becomes more and more of a thing.
Yeah.
We were listening at the weekend doing the homework, and it was like, wow, where's that come from? Why haven't we listened to that in a while? Where's that?
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good. Let's
I would say sorry, John, prior to this, I found the studio book in the Racket Attic for the Less Is More. Would you like to hear the list of songs
Yes.
the band proposed?
Yes, please.
Initially.
Yeah.
Was it about 36?
No. So to set the scene, I think whoever does, I don't know who came up with the idea, but it was gave the band. I think Mike said to the band, "Right, give us a list of songs. Let's have a look at them." So on my list, so Mark came up with the options of "The Only Unforgivable Thing,"
Ooh, yeah.
"Fruit of the Wild Rose," "It's Not Your Fault," "Quartz," "Woke Up," and "Trap the Spark."
Mhm.
H came up with "Under the Sun," "If My Heart Were a Ball," "Thank You Whoever You Are," or wherever you are, "Wrapped Up in Time," "Go," "These Chains," and "Tumble Down the Years." Pete came up with "Map of the World," "Fantastic Place," and "Interior Lulu." Rothers suggested "Memory of Water," and Ian suggested "The Space." And on top of that, we had "Out of This World," "See It Like a Baby," and "80 Days."
So we got 10 of them.
Yeah, well, some of them were actually tried out. So as far as I can see in the notes, "Woke Up," "Trap the Spark," "Tumble Down the Years," "Fantastic Place," "See It Like a Baby," and "80 Days" were tried but not taken forward.
There is a version of
"See It Like a Baby"
on
yeah.
the Blu-ray.
And 80 Days, they done live at Coddigan Hall.
Yeah, but there's a studio version of "See It Like a Baby" on the Blu-ray.
Yes,
Yeah.
they went through it. They jammed through them a couple of times and sort of looked at ways of changing it. And if it wasn't working, they quickly moved on.
Yeah, great
There you
list. That's great insight, James. Thank you for
Yeah.
that. Okay, well, we'll do the Wikipedia entry and then we'll go into it track by track, if that's okay. So, from Wikipedia, Less Is More is an acoustic studio album by Marillion, released on the band's own label on the 2nd of October 2009. A retail version is distributed by Edel Music. The band's 16th studio album, it contains rearranged songs from the period that Steve Hogarth has been their singer, since 1989, plus a previously unreleased track, It's Not Your Fault. Despite some positive reviews, the album did not chart in the UK. In fact, according to Wikipedia, it only charted in Holland, and where it got to 72, and France, where it got to 156. Bloody hell.
It was heady heights.
Yeah. Anyhow, track by track. Track 1 is Go.
Well, really sets the scene, doesn't it? Starts very gradual, almost like a nursery rhyme introduction, like one of the mobile things you have over a bed, starting with the little chimes, and it takes you straight in and carries on from there, really, doesn't it? And it's a very sublime version, but somehow Go is in it now. It's we've sort of been spoilt with the Royal Albert Hall version with the strings.
Yeah.
I know this is something different, but yeah, that was my view. But being invited onto this has given me an opportunity to go back and listen to these, and it's certainly not an album I'd go back. It's certainly not an album that would be on top of my playlist. I didn't grab for it very often, but it's been nice having a reason to go back and listen to it, because I've sort of appreciated it a lot more having listened to it again.
Yeah. I think the arrangement on it is it's got quite a delicate arrangement to it. And it's very, very sympathetic to the original, yet it does bring something new to it. And I think Darren's spot on. We have been spoilt with the version with the orchestra with Royal Albert Hall, but I think it also it goes to show that how popular a song it is with the band and with the fan base, that you can have different versions of it. So you've got a studio version, now you've got like the Less Is More version, you've got the orchestral version, and they all work absolutely beautifully. So, and it's just one of my favorite tracks of Marillion in the whole career, as it is in any case. So that's a thumbs up for me, but easy.
Cool. Mike?
Yeah, I think great opening to the album. I like how different it is. And I think, again, like Darren's saying, you're listening to it, it's in a different format where I can see all them finger lights coming up at the same time, even though it was recorded before then. But that's quite nice that it's got that linkage as well.
Yeah. James?
Yeah, I think it's a good opener. I like it. It's sort of, it's a laid back vibe. It's sort of more of a atmospheric at times. The one thing I do miss on it, and I think again with the finger lights, is that whole Wide Awake at the Edge of the World ending, because you can't help compare it to what you've heard live, the album version, everything like that. And I know it's difficult not to do. It's, you know, you're not meant to sort of compare. It's not really eggs with eggs per se, because it's a reimagining of the songs. But you still, when you get to that point, you still, in my opinion, you still miss it.
Like you guys, I like it. I think it's a great introduction to the album. I was looking through the credits. There are some unusual credits on peppered throughout the tracks, and this has a B. Hartshorn on bass harmonica. I presume these are just pseudonyms for Mike.
Mike, it's Mike. They're all Mike Hunter.
Mike Hunter, yeah.
He doesn't like being credited, so he gave himself pseudonyms.
Yeah, well, there are a few throughout the album, but yeah,
he's a talented musician.
He is, isn't he? It's bass harmonica, not just harmonica, bass harmonica. But yeah, I think it's a great opener.
Pete plays xylophone, so what's not to love?
He does, yeah.
It's the glockenspiel though. It stands out. Instead of Mark in some of the piano parts or the keyboard parts, it's glockenspiel, and it raises the bar on it because you can really hear it.
But it's I mean, I'm sorry to jump about, but I've been listening to the high res version on the Blu-ray more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because in high res it sounds wonderful, so clear, lots of space in the songs, lots of separation of the instruments. Even better than my favourite slot, which we will come on to.
I think what I agree with what Mike's saying is it also gives it, and I guess that I haven't listened to the high res stereo, but where they're picking out different melodies on the song on different instruments, it actually gives you a chance to hear. Oh, I wasn't realised that melody's maybe buried in a mix in the studio version or something, which I think is always, for me, is always a good thing about when that makes a good song, where you can hear the little other melodies come to the fore and it's still a great version.
Yeah.
I think the one
it's
thing
also just sorry, go for it, Dan.
One thing I noticed listening to these, and probably jumping ahead, the last song, this 21st century, but throughout all the songs, and I think it's like if you listen to the H podcast, sometimes he does a reading of some of these songs. He sort of focus very much on the lyrical content and the meaning behind it far more, and the meaning sort of springs out of the song a lot more because it's far more ambient. This music, the lyric sort of takes a bit more of a precedent in the song. And I sort of listening to them on my cycle rides to work and back, I've really been focusing and go, I've never really noticed the lyric as such. I've been more listening to a guitar solo or some power chord in the background, and I think this is where this has got a life of its own.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to track 2, which is Interior Lulu.
Oh,
go on, Craig.
I love this version of this.
Yeah,
I think it's
Hang on.
absolutely.
Stop rubbing your legs. Stop rubbing your legs.
Oh, it's great though. It's absolutely. It's all I just keep thinking of is very Ipcris file. You know, I'm expecting Michael Caine to come out with the shadows as Harry Palmer. Yeah, it's a. I actually prefer this version to the album version.
Is that because the middle section's not in it?
Because the middle section's not in. Spot on.
Mark Kelly hasn't gaffer taped a keyboard solo to this one. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, I do miss the whole. I mean, there was a big section at the end which is missing, but I think that it just works so well for this version of it. And I think the dulcimer on it just really, it just makes it.
It's creepy, isn't it? The dulcimer makes it really creepy at the beginning.
Yeah. And that bit at the start where I say he's using it looks like plastic forks, but it really, really lifts it right from the start. You go, this is different. This feels different. And what an instrument to learn to play from scratch, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't remember it. Obviously watched the Blu-ray over the weekend. They'd put those lights in it as well, hadn't they? Yeah. Which was a nice touch.
But I think wasn't the first time he'd used the dulcimer on Marbles on the start of Invisible Man or in Invisible Man.
It's Invisible Man, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go and listen to that.
So he'd had a little bit of a dabble.
Yeah.
A little bit of a dabble beforehand.
I mean, it's a bugger because he had to sit behind it at the live gigs, didn't he? So
Yeah.
it was a very
But,
strange.
I mean, Pete's playing a xylophone on this one.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Darren.
No, I really like this version, and it jingles at the beginning with that dulcimer. I think he calls it sounds like Spies.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting, and it's a really stripped back version, but it changes all the way through. It's a really nice version, and even with the middle section, which I love, missing, it sort of works well and lends itself well to this acoustic format. I don't think that hard section would have worked acoustically.
No,
it's really good.
Mike.
Again, it lifts it bends and shapes in lots of different ways, and I think with the sections taken out, it condenses it really well. As Craig said, this is my favorite version.
James.
I like it. For the most of it, I like it. Really like you're saying about the intro. I could see that on a film or something. That sort of thriller, sort of, introduction and stuff. I also like H's vocals on this one as well, because it's given, as we briefly touched on it gives him a different way to attack the lyrics and a different way to sing it and play with the melodies a bit. And that I really enjoy that. As Craig mentioned, the thing I really miss is the Primrose Hill section of the original, because that is such a iconic Pete's bass line and leading it. And that when you get through that, it's just like, oh, that's the only thing for me. It's sort of, it doesn't reach those heights, but I do like it. I wouldn't say it's my favorite version, but
James, did they actually do a version of it where they kept it in, or is there other versions where they actually kept extra bits in, or was it just
I've not
earlier on?
Yeah, I think this was one of the ones that were recorded on multi-track, and it's buried in the server somewhere, and I've not heard it yet, so I can't answer that one.
I think it's a strange choice for this album, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it works really well. Don't get me wrong, but why would you pick this?
But it's equally with Go and Interior Loop. That's a strange start to any album.
But I think Go's a more natural choice for this sort of treatment. I think, despite everything I'm saying there, I do love it. I think it's great. I think there's some fantastic Kelly keyboard organ fills towards the end of it. Some lovely stuff that you wouldn't normally pick out the main version of the song.
Do you think they deliberately chose songs that perhaps wouldn't necessarily be automatically thought of as an acoustic song?
Well, no, because I think as we get further in, we're gonna hear like Bass Brewery arrangement of songs and Unplugged to the Walls arrangement. Yeah. So either they ran out of time or they just fell back into the standards that they'd done in that format before.
I think this, if you took Less is More and said, right, we need to reimagine a Marillion song, do an Interior Lulu, ticks the box. This is what it should be. Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As you say, compared to some of the other versions, which you go, I've heard a bit of this before.
Yeah.
You've used that twice now, James. Reimagine.
Have I? I keep saying it. I was like, I'll get to Barnes is epic.
I sat in a project meeting, I mean, in a different sector, but the lead commissioner said, never say reimagine. It just means we've fucked it up and we're trying again.
Well, on the vinyl.
Well, actually.
On the vinyl, it says Marillion reinterpreting Marillion. So
everything, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Management speak. I will not mention it again.
No, go for it. Say it every time, James. Every time you speak to you now.
Just going back to what James said about the different vocal delivery of this song. As Interior Lulo ends, if you hear the original album version, you've got that kind of sort of quiet, simmering drums beating up the end, which isn't there. And so H's vocals, as it simmers out, what a waste of lips. It's almost tortured. It's really beautiful. It's the way it ends is it's quite momentous in a very subtle way. Really, really enjoyable.
Yes, as I say, despite everything I've just said, I think it's a great version. And you're right, James. This is what they should have been doing, stretching themselves and picking something not so obvious. Slightly more obvious, maybe. The next track is Out of This World.
I think it's quite a melancholy version. I don't think it's got as much of the heart and the passion of the original. I think it's more of a straightforward version of it, but it's quite wistful, and I like it, but I don't think this version actually brings much new to it.
Yeah, it doesn't reach the heights where it needs to go.
Yeah, I'm sort of with you on that one. When I listen to it, I think if it hadn't been for the fact that I knew the original, and so a lot of that is in the back of my head, if I'd have heard that fresh, I'd have probably thought this is quite long and uneventful. It's a bit too mellow as a stripped down version. And as you said, it not much reimagining on this version, but yeah, there you go.
Reinterpreting.
Reimagined the reinterpretation.
Yeah, it's not one of my favorites off the album because Out of This World's one of my favorite Marillion songs ever. And as you say, it's almost a bit, okay, yeah, I could sort of hear this one coming almost. But the bit I really do like on it is when it gets to the So We Live You and I section, where on the original is, it's very keyboard led when they strip the drums out and everything. Where this is more strummed, and the way H sings it, I think is more, it's aching. It really is that sort of love and aching and things like that. And that's the bit of the song I really do like.
I'd put that in my notes as well. I mean, I do like this. I like it a lot more than you guys seem to. I think it's a great arrangement. H is almost whispering at the beginning, but in falsetto. It's a really sort of delicate vocal at the beginning. And as James has just said, I've got in my notes, So We Live You and I section. I find that really uplifting, the end of that on here. It's a different take on it, completely different to the original.
It is different.
And I like it. It's great. It's not better than the original, obviously. Next track is Wrapped Up in Time.
Worth the entrance fee alone.
Yeah.
I mean, the vulnerability on this one, not just from H's vocals, but from the delicate keys, the heart, everything is just so delicate and vulnerable. And actually, it raised the hairs on my neck and the goosebumps listening to this again. It's a phenomenal song that actually doesn't get the credit that it deserves.
No.
But on this, I think it comes out great. And then live, even better.
Great that they put it on here because it was a new song at the time. So to reinterpret it so quickly, I think it's really
and
good.
I think what was interesting, it also went out on the radio sample as well, the promo one that went out. It's on it, 3 tracks.
Yeah. Hard Is Love, radio edit. This is a 21st Century radio edit and Wrapped Up in Time album version.
Yeah.
For me, this is probably the highlight on the album for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a fantastic reinterpretation.
Yeah.
And as you said, the lyric and the vocal melody on this really comes to the fore, and it is beautiful.
Yeah.
I think the arrangement on it is gorgeous. It is.
Yeah, I prefer this to the album version.
Oh no, steady now, steady.
I do.
I think when H is singing it, that vulnerability comes through. You can hear his voice go almost, in the emotions coming through with it. And I think that's what the listener wants. They want the emotion of what he's doing.
I've got a newfound love for this song because we did Happiness recently, and I think the album version is absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah.
This is nice. I like the sort of Rothers loose blues playing over the top.
Yeah, there's electric guitar in this one.
Yeah. And Pete's acoustic bass as well. And again, just Kelly with the organ sounds on there.
And there's a choir.
There is.
Yeah, that's...
But yeah, fantastic arrangement. I love this version. I mean, I love the original version on Volume 2 of Happiness, but I love both versions.
Yeah, but as James says, definitely one of the highlights of this album.
Yeah,
not much I can add that hasn't already been said. It's really, really good version. and the organs and the choir at the end are really, really good, really good. Okay. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to the original now, because it's been a while since I've listened to that.
Well, we're putting out Happiness is the Road episodes very shortly, Darren, so that might prompt you to do that.
Yeah. Bit of research.
By the time we listen to this, they've already been done.
They're ready to go, mate.
They're already out.
No, but it's sometimes good when I know you're going to do an episode on a certain album. I listen to it in advance, so I know what the hell you're talking about. Because some of these albums, when they've got back catalogue of so many, you think, God, I haven't listened to that for quite a while, and so it's sometimes worth having a bit of a listening beforehand, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why we do this, is to sort of get folks to go back and listen to it again. But anyway, we are on fairly familiar territory with the next track, which is The Space.
Yeah, Live at the Walls has got a lot of answer for this.
Yeah. or even the Bass Brewery version, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the same arrangement, isn't it, really?
Yeah, it doesn't feel that different.
They made the right choice. They made the right choice to do it this way on this album.
Yeah, it fits on the album really well. It sits comfortably in there, but it's not setting the world on fire like other versions have.
No.
I thought they could have done much more with it. I think it feels like, and might be wrong, that it was one that maybe have been knocked out quite late in the process, because it does, as we've said, Unplugged at the Walls, Bass Brewery. I think they could have done more to it, because we've seen a bit of a interpretation. I can say it right. At the Albert Hall, reinterpretation with the with the string quartet at that beginning, when the second set at the Albert Hall. Yeah. So it can be done, and this one just feels a little bit seen it, done it, heard it.
Right.
I'd probably rather they'd stuck See It Like a Baby on instead of this.
Yeah, because
unforgivable. The only unforgivable thing that would have been.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. It's got another one of Mike Hunter's. I presume it's Mike Hunter's credits. S. Audley playing the Bode Glockenspiel.
I know that on one of the albums, I think it was not Marbles, Fear, that he was credited on a few places.
Yes.
A few names, but there were places around Racket. So you've got G Underwood, which is obviously Grendon Underwood, and N Marston, which is North Marston, a few like that. So it'd be interesting to see what the symbolism is behind these names he's come up with. If
South Audley, I don't know. Who knows?
I think when you get him on the podcast, you could ask him.
Oh, we've asked for Mike, and it's a hard pass.
Yeah.
We'll keep trying, though. We'll pucker up and do what we need to.
Slightly more hope of getting Mike on than we have Derek, but there's not much in it. There's not much in it.
Maybe if you call it the Croft episode, he might turn up.
Yeah, Crofting Monthly podcast.
Yeah. Hello, I like a digger. Come on my podcast.
Something in that, James. There's something in that.
Another spin-off.
Planet Marzipan presents Crofting Monthly.
Planet JCB.
Next track is Hard as Love. Go on, Darren.
Well, this is the one they touted, isn't it? It's the one they touted at the time. It was quite a big on the Racket TV thing and everything else, saying, we've taken I think on the DVD or the Blu-ray, it says we've taken an angry song and turn it into something quite beautiful. And this is probably one of the biggest reinventions of any of the songs on the album. It is quite different, and there's talk about swapping the choruses and the verses around, sort of making the verses chorus and choruses verses. I mean, I didn't quite get that myself, but it is quite a different version. It's quite enjoyable to hear how a song could be reinterpreted so differently, because if you know the original, it comes in with that, and it's just a complete different planet. It's very well done, very, very clever.
Yeah. Mike?
Yeah, I think it's probably the one that's the most different to the original version. As I know I keep saying about the live, but he says that on the live one, this was a big angry song, it was a rocker, It's Not Tonight. And I think it comes in again, there's a sense of vulnerability in it, but some of the things you can hear when, if you listen in the HD version, my God, there's things that I'm like, where did that come from?
Yeah.
And it's quite nice, as you say, to go back and listen to these things that we haven't listened to for a long time. And it's now going to be a bit of a regular player.
Well, yeah, that's the intention, and we'll
Yeah.
see how it goes. But yeah,
It may only last 2 weeks, but it'll be 2 weeks
Yeah.
longer than the last 10 years.
Yeah. Craig,
I think it's an absolute corking reinterpretation. I think it's. I mean, it's funny because it never used to be one of my favorite tracks on Brave, but over the years I've developed a love for it, and I think this is a nice different take on it. And it was pretty much the lead song from this album, and when it came to like the PR and stuff like that, and understandably so. Corgan,
James.
Not for me, I'm afraid.
Oh,
There's bits of it I like. I like the beginning of it, and it's almost like, well, I mean, it's interesting change. That when he starts it, it sounds like he's going to start it as a Nature Natural gig. That sort of very laid back, pared back beginning, and there's bits of it I like. But yeah, when it gets into that chorus, it's just no, not for me. I understand that they were approaching it as an angry song into a not an angry song, but it's just lost the bite, and I do like the bite of the original. So personally, for me, nah.
Okay. I'm with the other guys. I like it. I think it's a great reinterpretation. I'll use that word again. I don't quite understand why H is credited with playing a doorknob on it because I can't hear that, but he is. But yeah, this is if you're going to do this sort of an album, this is what you've got to do for me. You've got to do this. You've got to do Interior Lulu. You've got to do Wrapped Up in Time differently.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the next track is Quartz.
So different.
Yeah.
This is probably my favourite on the album, actually.
Okay.
It's very clever as well. That introduction, when you listen to it, it's in an odd time signature. I think it might even be 7/8. And then the syncopated tick-tock, and the way they introduce the tick-tock on the complete, taking the literal aspect of clockwork and quartz and brought that into the introduction. But when you listen to this kind of syncopated glockenspiel, it doesn't play all the way through. It just comes in pieces, and on odd times, it's very, very clever.
Yeah.
And that end bit, the one of the bits I loved on the original Anarachnophobia version was, the little keyboard stabs, the strings. That bit isn't there, the music there, but Steve Rothery's playing this awesome bluesy little number going through there.
Yeah.
I think it was his Jack Dent guitar because he was having his affair with those things back then, and but it sounds gorgeous. And there's some smoochy organ sections in there. It's really, really good. I really like this version. I think it's a really nice reinterpretation. But that intro section with all the bits going on, it could have sounded a right mess, but it's just
it's good.
Perfect.
It's good. Mike?
Yeah, I think Rother's playing through it stands out. And for me, this and Wrapped Up in Time are the standouts on the album for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Craig?
I like this version, but I love Rother's guitar solo in it.
Yeah.
And I think as well, we'll get onto this in the next episode, on the Cadogan Hall, the live version of this is outstanding, and Rother's he's playing on it is absolutely sublime, and the new guitar solo thing that he's done for it is absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. James?
Yeah, not much more I can say. I'm with Mike. I think this is again one of my highlights of the album, and that solo. I wished when I was listening to it earlier, I was like, "Oh, it's faded out a bit too quick. Yeah. Should have carried on," which he does more live.
Yeah.
But no, I think that whole, as Darren was saying, that intro, that syncopated stuff, and the bits that come in and out, and it's like again that word. This is what this is the this is what we imagine. This is what
they want.
Yes,
yeah. It's totally,
and it's just and live. It was great. It was like that. The concentration on their faces again, as I said again. But that introduction is like, oh yeah, this is good. It sits alongside the original for me because I really like the original. I think that's a great song and that bite and lyric and stuff like that. But this is a good version.
Yeah, I'm with you guys. I think Rothers is amazing. I love the way that they've taken that clockwork effect at the beginning, which isn't in the original, is it? It's there in a different form, but it's so pronounced in the beginning of this. It's great. Next track is If My Heart Were a Ball, It Would Roll Uphill.
My favorite thing of writing in a guest book at a hotel.
What, that?
Yeah.
You just imagine people's faces reading it.
That's what I write in a guest book. How was your stay? If my heart were a ball, it would roll up a hill.
Good job you didn't put It's Not Your Fault.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think of this version?
It's okay. It's not. It's different. It's reworked. I'm not going to say the reword, but
say it. I think we'll call the whole episode Reinterpretation.
Yeah, it is reinterpreted, but I like it. It's not long enough.
Okay.
It cuts off too soon. It's quite. I think this and Fruit of the Wild Rose are quite sexy songs. They've got quite a nice beat in them. There's a nice rhythm, especially Pete's rhythm in it is really quite cool. I think it lost it in this version. I like it, but I don't love it.
Okay, Craig?
I'm with Mike. I like it, but I don't love it. The original version on Anarachnophobia is possibly one of my least favorite songs on Anarachnophobia. It's not being a favorite of mine at all. I like the fact that they've tried to reinterpret it a bit, but I think it's a bit more of a. It doesn't take you anywhere particularly different. I think it's a bit more of a straightforward version of what the track could be.
Yeah, at least on the live version of the original, you've got Pete's bass, which is the payoff, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. So this is just a fairly standard effort, I would say, if compared to the rest of the songs on the album.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty much similar mind, to be honest. It's okay, reinterpretation. It's very percussive. It's quite a lot of in sort of snare going through it. It's but yeah, if there's one track on it that's the filler track, I think this is probably one of them. It's okay, but it doesn't really go anywhere too different, does it?
No.
So yeah, I mean, even to the end section with the random words coming out, that's sort of replicated as well, but it's okay.
James?
Yeah, I think everybody said it's an interesting change. It's got some good bits. The thing I like about the songs from really from the middle eight onwards, I think it gets better for me. It's not one of the highlights of the album, but it's an interesting track, and I think one I enjoyed live.
Yeah, I think it's a strange choice, this one. They've not done enough with it to be that different. And as Craig says, it's really not a favourite of mine either. The original's not a favourite, so they haven't done enough to it to make it something that I'm particularly fond of.
If they've done something clever like they did with Interior Lula, did something that way on, but yeah.
Okay. The only new song, in inverted commas, on here is the next track, which is It's Not Your Fault.
But it was.
Okay. Somebody talk about this. Craig, come to you.
A lullaby for an adult.
Apparently, yes.
Apparently.
If that was the case, it'd be Not Your Fault.
Yeah.
It's not great in my eyes. I've never thought of it as a highlight on the album or anything. I get what he's trying to put across with it, and it's heart's in the right place, but I'm not a great fan of it.
Okay, Darren.
Yeah, I'm sort of similar minded. I find the sentiment is there, but often with H's lyrics, he mystifies them and has secondary meanings and interpretations. This is a bit too direct. It feels a bit naive, and it keeps very repetitive. And I know I think I recall them saying, but it's a mantra, you repeat it over and again. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
If I sat there and said, I'm a motorbike, I'm a motorbike, I'm a motorbike, I'm still not a motorbike. So, I just think it's an average song, and I think they tried to shoehorn it in or make it work on a couple of albums previously, and it never really fit in. So I think this is probably the outlet that they probably felt it worked best for, but it's not the highlight of the album for me.
Okay, James.
I quite like it. I thought, completely flipped from artist love. I quite like it. I hadn't heard it for a while, and listening back to it, I think it's you can see where the sentiment is. Yes, as you say, it's a bit of a plainer lyric, but there's nothing wrong with that. And I quite like it. I think it's an interesting way they put it on the album. Maybe if it was a bit of a bonus track to come in at the end, bit of a pause, almost like a good night, kids, sort of thing, I think it might have worked a bit better. Give you the history, was Darren was just saying about, I mentioned earlier, it sort of was written in, when's my notes? Written in February 2006. Started off as a full band, just sort of get the melody around it. And then April, H and Mark worked in it for somewhere else. And then it was picked up again in November of that year. And H tweaked the lyrics all the way through. There's lyrics that were dropped, other bits brought in. And then it wasn't even in the list. I've not seen a list that had it for Happiness. And you say it was on Mark's list, funny enough, for this one.
Yeah. And
then he H tweaked the lyrics again and then re-recorded the vocals.
Okay. Mike, have you got anything to add?
Not really. I mean, I wouldn't have imagined it went back to 2006. It feels very, very Hate Solo more than a Marillion track to me. Yeah.
I think it's something that would have fit after reading the
Arrow now, yeah.
Yeah. Very much, yeah. He's seen a man in Amsterdam and he's told him it's not his fault.
One thing I noticed when you're listening to it and he's playing the piano on his own, there's definitely a Beatles influence to the piano. I mean, it could have slotted straight into Let It Be or something like that. It's but I never really noticed until I listened to it in this last week. I thought, oh, there's just a chord or two. You think, oh, it's very Beatles-esque.
I'm with James. I quite like it. I think it is one of H's better lyrics. I think the payoff line at the end is fantastic.
It's
quite repetitive, but not as noticeable on the studio version as it is on the live version. I don't know why. Yeah, I like. I think the band wanted to have a new track as a bit of a draw for the album, didn't they? My feeling is, nice to be able to say that there is a new song on there.
Mm-hmm. I think it was quite a common thing back then, wasn't it?
Well, it is the greatest hits, isn't it? You put a track on, unreleased track or two. Okay, on to the next track, which is Memory of Water.
Without Mr. Mosley.
Yes. It's having a fact.
Yeah. But this is the one where Rodders went, oi, can I be on this one, please, mister?
See, this is where I get, just touching on Not Your Fault, this is where I think the sequence in the album was off a bit squiffy, because you had Not Your Fault, then Memory of Water. Which
I think it should have been then.
I think it was either at the end of the album or earlier on in the album. Just don't stick those two together, because I think they sort of trod similar lanes.
Yeah.
But I like the Memory of Water. I think it's one of my again, it's sort of, really like this version. I think of it's quite beautiful, and it even though the TSE version is really stripped back, I think this one still brings out more of the fragility of the lyric. I know it's it's John Helmer lyric, but it works for me. I really like it.
Yeah, cool. Mike?
Yeah, again, as James said, I like the fragility of it. I'm always comparing it to the big beat mix, so it's I want that
Oh,
kick
you
in.
can't do that.
I know, but I want that kick in all the time. This went the complete opposite direction. It pulled it back more and more. Again, it feels too short. It feels like it should be longer.
Okay, Craig.
Yeah, like I said, Rothers goes, "Yay, I got to play on it," so I'm happy for that.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's a nice version. I do. I think it's sympathetic to the original. It's predominantly acoustic guitar, and it sounds lovely.
All right, Darren.
Yeah, I agree. An odd choice for an album where you're going to strip stuff back, because it was about as stripped back as you could be. They've sort of filled it in, but yeah, it's lovely, and the guitar and that. It's it's a nice little version. So it's another one in the catalogue.
This is the only track for me that I think might be better than the original. I mean, I like the original, but I think this is better.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. Actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Darren. Why would they pick it? But then they've done something nice with it. I think it's different enough to justify it being on here.
I think that on the original, the Strange Engine, it acted as a kind of interlude between two very busy songs, whereas this, it's sort of built up a little bit. And you're right, it probably is a better version. Yeah, that would work live a lot better than just the plain stripped back version from the original.
Yeah. On to This Is the 21st Century.
Well, it's shorter.
All right then. Is that it? Is that your comment?
No, it's because obviously a lot of people weren't so convinced about the length of the original. It did go on quite a lot, which I quite like myself. But this is far more succinct. But I really like it. There's some great keyboards in it. It's very jingly at the beginning. As I don't know, is that auto harp or something like that? But the vocal delivery of this song is just beautiful, though. The last bits is just gorgeous. Yeah, I really like it. Really like it. The lyrics come to the foreground, and as I said earlier, you particularly with this song, pay very much attention to those lyrics and the meaning. They're very sort of personal, from the heart, and they come forward with this, with it being stripped back.
Craig?
It's okay. It's okay. I really love the album version, and I like the modern feel of it with the drum machines and things like that. This is interesting. I don't think it's a bad interpretation, but I definitely prefer the original on this one. And but I think it worked. I think it worked probably a little bit better live than this studio version of it. But I still prefer the original.
Yeah, Mike.
I prefer this to the studio version. I'd skip the studio version, and live it'd be my toilet break song.
What?
Yeah. I've grown to love it. I've grown to love it more over the last couple of years, and the more it's played. I quite like this version. This, for me, this Quartz and Wrapped Up in Time are the top 3 on the studio album for me, on the studio version.
Yeah.
I think, as Craig said, it works better live, though. Live, it comes alive a lot more. I mean, it's got double acoustic guitar of Rothers and Pete on this, which I think gives it more of an edge, and it lifts it. But I like the softness of H's tone on it as well.
Okay, James.
Bit hit and miss for me, because the beginning or parts of the song remind me of the Lost Trios version of it.
Yeah,
which is quite similar.
Yeah.
And so again, it's a case of could they've done it a bit differently or something like that. It's the thing that, again, I like to, when it runs up to the tempo change and the run-ups, when it goes slowly from above, and that bit I really do like, because it changes the feel of the song, and I do like H's vocal delivery on this one as well. But it's just a case of when you start hearing it, it's like, okay, I've heard this before.
Yeah. It's okay, as you've said. It's okay. Is it a strong enough ending to the album? Probably not for me. But then what could you put as, unless they sort of move Interior Lulu back or something? I don't know. It's all right. It's nothing, not earth shattering, I would have to say.
I mean, I think what you got to realize is this album's 16 years old.
Yes. Yeah.
No, 16 years, and some of it still sounds quite fresh.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And I don't know whether that's because you're listening with new ears again and you've forgotten what it sounded like, so you're going back to it. But 16 years? It's like, bloody hell.
Yeah.
Oh. But they've not done that sort of, those sort of instruments and things like that since to that extent. You know, if they brought out the next album that had glockenspiel and all bits like that, you would have gone, oh, it's like a bit like Less is More. But because they haven't, I'm with you guys, it's not, I haven't reached for it probably in 15 years. You listen to it and you go, oh, okay.
What I would have loved for them to have done for this as a final track on the album would have been a reimagining, a reinterpretation of 100 Nights. That would have been just something, quite one of the epic end songs.
No Hope for the Future.
Or Fugazi.
Carrying the message.
80 Days.
I'd have been.
I could get a round of applause. Yeah.
I'd have probably put chords on the end of it. That, you know, without leaving that out. That's so.
Yeah.
Isn't there? There's a hidden track on this album, though, isn't
Hang on,
There is.
you know, we invite you on and you spoil the fun. Don't
Sorry.
Darren, is there a hidden track on the album?
Yes.
Jigsaw, isn't it?
I believe so. Yes.
Go on then, what is it?
It's Cannibal Surf, babe.
You don't say.
Ay caramba.
But I always find it a bit weird that they call it a hidden track. It's got a minuscule credit. It's not really that hidden, is it?
It's not. It's listed on the vinyl. It's not a hidden track on the vinyl.
It's not on the CD.
I know it is. I know it's not listed on the CD. It's a skiffle version.
It is. The arrangement's really different, isn't it?
Yeah. Go on, James. We'll start with you.
Not for me.
That was
for
quick.
me.
That was quick.
That's all I'm going to say. Not for me.
Not for me. Next. Mike.
I'm with James.
All right. Oh, this is going to be quick, isn't it? Great.
It's noticeable that they actually didn't do this on the tour.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's entertaining. It's a bit silly. It's like, I mean, to have the a mouth organ solo at the end on the fade out is just.
H had to get his mouth organ. I think it's H on the mouth organ. Had to get it in somewhere.
Darren?
Yeah, it's pretty much what Craig said. But I do quite like the mouth organ bit at the end. And I'm like, who the hell's playing that? Because I can't think of any other song that they play mouth organ on.
No one should ever play a mouth organ, ever.
Unless you're in the Beatles.
Even then.
Or Dylan.
See, it's odd because Matthew, friend of mine, he hates the mouth organ as well. Anything like that doesn't.
We have
harmonica doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, we have a friend who has a mouth organ and brings it out regularly when we're on that. We go back to his on nights out and he's pissed, and it's woeful.
Okay.
That's not on Pornhub, is it?
That's a different kind of mouth organ.
Don't unsport it now. You'll have to edit that.
No,
it's staying in, Darren. You know,
just made it X-rated.
X-rated, yeah.
You've just brought it down to my level.
We can change the lyric. It's not for me. It's not.
It's okay.
Well, that's the tracks on the studio album. We are going to talk about the formats and the tour, but we're going to do all that in part 2. So is there anything you want to say about the thing? Shall we do a Genius or Bollocks overall for the album? Craig?
I think for concept and general execution, I think it's genius. There might be a couple of duffers on there, but I think they were brave to do it. And I think they were hoping it was going to do better with the fan base. And I thought they were hoping it was going to spawn, because they're saying in the documentaries on the Blu-ray, if it worked well and people liked it, they were even considering to do one of the nights at one of the conventions in this style, which never came to pass.
Still like to see that.
Oh yeah, I think it'd be great.
Yeah, yeah,
They sort of did that on the Sunday night at Pontins.
yeah.
Yeah, that was here
Sunday afternoon,
on the
actually.
Sunday and kick out.
Yeah, that was the dinner time session, wasn't it? Darren, less is more, genius or bollocks?
If you'd have asked me 2 weeks ago, I'd have said bollocks. Now I've had a chance to listen to it, I've got a bit of a new appreciation, so I'm going to go genius now.
Top man. Mike?
Yeah, genius, just for the sheer fact that they went and learned new instruments, they've rearranged them, they've taken the time. They haven't yes, there's a couple of songs that could have been better, but it is a proper studio album. It's not just a rehash. It's a standalone studio album, and for that, it's genius.
Yeah. James?
Just sneaks in a hairy genius.
Hairy genius.
as opposed to a bald bollock.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just say, though, about the album cover?
No, not yet.
No.
6 weeks.
Because I haven't said what it is yet.
Go on, then.
It's genius.
Oh, go on, then.
It's overlooked, and it shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So dig your copy out now and go and have a listen to it. The album sleeve is going to be in part 2, Darren.
Okay, good.
All right. All that remains to be said is thank you to James Levey.
Thank you very much.
Thank you to Mike Barton.
Thank you.
Thank you to Darren Newitt.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you to Craig the Houston.
Why, thank you, young sir. Fear might be back soon.
Yeah, part 2, I've no doubt. It's good night from me.
And it's good night from him.
Take care, and Darren,
stay alive!
Yay!
Thanks for listening to Planet Marzipan Podcast. Please like and subscribe from whichever platform you get your podcasts from. You can contact us at planetmarzipanpodcast@gmail.com and check out marillion.com, fishmusic.scot for all the good stuff.